Hey guys, it's been a bit, and I'm guessing that most of you have guessed that the lack of update means that we consumed another engine. And you'd be right. Road America hasn't exactly been kind to us the past couple years, and I mean, this year was absolutely no exception, and it kind of was one of the final punches that put me on the ground for a bit. But just because I'm down doesn't mean I can't get back up. But to do that, we need to know for sure this time what happened, what caused all this. So this video is going to be a little bit different, and I'm actually going to walk you through the analysis that we did to determine what exactly is causing these issues. So let's jump into that. All right, so we are looking at the Haltech data log viewer, and on screen now is pretty much the point of failure and the aftermath of it. So just to get our bearings on where we're at on track, the light pink line here, this is our RPM. So this is our downshift into turn 14, which is the turn onto the front straight. And then this is our VMIN, and we are then accelerating out of it into, that's all the way up to the top third gear, down or upshift to fourth gear, and then upshifting to fifth. The AFRs during that period, actually we'll look at the target AFR, which is right here, about 11.5, pretty much across the board, all gears. And this is our wideband. And you will notice that it is, as we're exiting the corner, about 6,700 RPM-ish. We spike lean, and it spikes hard enough lean that the ECU reacts to that. This is our fuel injection duty cycle. It reacts by throwing a bunch of extra duty cycle at it, actually peaking out at 105%, trying to bring the AFRs back down, and then eventually settling back into its more normal state. We are running 1100 cc injectors on E85, so we are seeing right around that 90% duty, 80-90% duty cycle range for normal operation. But this spike here up to 105%, along with the engine being running in a lean state, that tells us that we were looking at a fuel starvation situation. So the car was fueled for effectively 2 hot laps. What ended up happening that session was we went out, and on our first hot lap got black flagged as a car had a mechanical pulled off perfectly safely on the inside just after the kink. The issue with that is that's an impact zone, so obviously they can't have recovery crew there, and they can't have that car sitting there. That's just not safe. So they black flagged us, pulled us all in, sent us out behind the safety car. So now I have 1.5 laps of racing laps of fuel, and I'm back behind the safety car for another lap, and so that would put me at about 1 racing lap of fuel remaining. And then I did 2 more laps after that, and that's what got us here. So you can see from that point that are EGTs on cylinder 1, which is the highlighted white line here, which is the furthest cylinder from the fuel pump. All of a sudden, as I'm continuing to accelerate out of the corner, that cylinder starts losing temperature, which means it is not combusting properly. Drops down, back in it, starts to come back up, but it shoots up well above where the other cylinders are, indicating that it is running extremely hot, that something is still not running right there. Stabilizes for a bit, but I grab 5th gear, and it just goes nuclear. Reach start finish, and I let off, and immediately the temperature drops. It's just falls from there. It's just not running at all, despite all of the other cylinders up here running at a relatively representative temperature for a coast down. So, end of the day, stupid fueling decision followed by a even stupider decision to lap past the amount of fuel that I had in the car. Ended up killing that final motor. Now, I don't have the data here. It's on my laptop. But I did, about a week after I discovered this in the data, go back and look at the data from Road America last year, where you'll probably remember that I also lost an engine. And I remember that, hey, that engine ended up failing on its way up the front straight as well. And so I got to thinking, I'm like, what if it's the same thing and we didn't catch it in the data? So I went back and I looked at that data, and it was not as severe as this. But it's a fuel starve was there, and then on that same lap, that was where we lost the engine. So now I didn't have 4-channel EGT at the time on that log, but I would think it's a fair assumption that a fuel starve was what also cost us that engine as well. So yeah. That's where we're at. Now, between 2 fueling failures, along with 2 boost leaks that could have been prevented, every single engine that I've lost in the past 2 years is 100% my fault. Race cars obviously require a very different maintenance regimen than regular street cars, and in that, I've failed pretty much entirely. That's in spectacular fashion. I mean, 4 engines. That's I should have learned at some point along the way, but it took a little longer than you would expect most. So obviously, this has been extremely stressful and expensive and time-consuming, emotional. You know, it's a laundry list of things that make you stop and think. You know, a lot of people at this point would have said, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe it's time to give up, hang up the helmet, part out the car, cut your losses, draw this line in the sand, and call it your limit. But deep down, I know that it's not mine. And that while, you know, racking up this many failures and finally knowing that they're all my fault, will absolutely, that's the type of thing that'll keep you up at night for days, weeks, months. But I also know that for me, being a quitter would keep me up at night for the rest of my life. So, obviously, this is not the end. This is just a learning phase, a painful one, but you know, it's learning my weaknesses, learning how to replace them with strengths. I obviously need a car that can keep up with what I put it through, but I also need to be a better version of myself that is keeping up with what the car needs. I need to be better at maintenance, making and then adhering to checklists that, you know, ensure that I am doing everything that the car needs me to do, and making sure that it's ready every year, every event, every session, every lap. I need to be a better driver, making sure that I can actually, when the car works, extract a representative level of performance out of it, and I have been, with how little driving I've done, exceptionally bad at that over the past few years. So the car is going to get fueling upgrades in order to protect it from fueling issues in the future. We've already got our safeties to make sure it's protected from boost issues. It'll get quality of life upgrades. I'm going to keep working on lightening it. I'd still like to get below 3,000 pound race weight. And just overall, it's going to be a continued path toward optimization for the 2027 season as we take 2026 off from racing this car. But obviously that's not going to help me become a better driver. So I've already spent next year's event entry budget in order to continue to keep working on my skills right here in my own home. It's time to level up my driving by doing it every day. And this is how. So we've got SimMagic wheel and base, SimMagic pedals with haptics. Shifter does both H-pattern and sequential, and then a handbrake so I can mess around with rally and also learn how to drift. That's something that's been on my list for a while. So yeah, I'll be doing a lot of sim racing in the future. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see any of that on the channel. Otherwise, you may have noticed that I'm getting a little practice in for my next real life outing. So yeah, looking forward to that, and you guys should too. But till then, Spaz out.